Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Anthony C.A., another edition of my program, The Hour of Politics, and we are happy to say welcome. In today's edition, we are having a conversation with Mr. Laraamand S. Nyonton. He is an outstanding young Liberian who has been involved with everything in Liberia for the right reasons. And in today's discussion, we will be focusing on two things in this particular conversation with him. His company, Excellent Staffing and Global LLC, will be looking at the services this particular institution is providing and to provide in the city of Brotherly Love or in Philadelphia and other states, I want to believe. But the other interesting thing also is he has a political side. He has the intention to run for office, the office of representative in district number 12, Monserrado County. We also going to talk about that. I will now welcome my guest, Mr. Laraamand Nyonton. His friends call him Comrade Nyonton. Welcome.
Thank you, Anthony. It is a pleasure to be back on Focus on Liberia. It's been a long time. How you been, my man?
I've been fine, trying to keep the media institution going.
Yeah, thank you. I must admit that I'm thrilled by the level of progress that you guys have made. Just I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was watching on one of the platforms on social media, and I see that you guys now have correspondence in Liberia. I think it's a milestone, it's a big deal. I want to say thank you to you and Big Brother Dennis Chia for all the work you guys do for Liberia.
And we want to say thanks also to you for being involved with this country, Liberia, and not saying I'm going to turn my back. But
We can give up now. We can give up on the country.
of course, we cannot give up. So you have been very busy. After graduating with your second master's, you decided to start something here in the U.S. Because you are part of the U.S. community, and you started a business, it's company, and it's called Excellent Staffing and Global LLC. So my first question is, what kind of company it is, and what are the services you do provide?
So thank you once more for the this opportunity. We can do other things. A lot of people do know me for my continuous involvement in politics, but we can do other things aside from politics. As you rightly stated, I'm an immigrant here in the U.S. I came to the shores of the U.S. in 2014. So it's barely a little on 8 years, and having acquired some of the best education that anyone can acquire on this face of the earth here in the U.S., I thought it was necessary to move in this direction. Basically, the motivation stemmed from the fact that I belong to a minority population as far as
Mhm.
the immigrant population.
Right.
When paired in this aggregation with the black, African, the black community, as well as the overall U.S. population, and in the state of Pennsylvania, particularly, there is a growing need for workforce development, program and services. And I know this well because the last 5 to 7 years, I have been actively involved working as a job development specialist with
Mhm.
a local nonprofit organization that have been deeply rooted into um, developing the potential of immigrant youth and families, but as well as pipelining them to job opportunities. So there is a huge market for the development of those workforce development services, and mine institution, my company is directly focusing in the area of employment and workforce development.
Wow. Oh, that is excellent. Uh, is there anything specific that you do just in addition to providing opportunity for people in terms of employment? Do you look into training and all that?
Yes, we do. So basically, we we launched and strive on three basic services, right? So you have on one hand the actual niche recruiting and staffing
Mhm,
services that we offer,
mhm.
and we have the workforce development services, and then we also have training.
Okay.
Training is the pillar, is the cushion that supports the first two services that we offer.
Okay.
But I'd like to take you back a little, right? So
Mhm,
a lot of people have not come in terms to grapple with, this whole concept of workforce development.
mhm.
Um, so is a unique way to unpack what that means, right? So it's the process of pipelining new talents, right? That
Mhm.
that you that might be developed in terms of the skill set needed by employers. And in order to do that, you have to also understand the trend of the market. So, take for example, in the state of Pennsylvania alone, the next 5 to 7 medium to long term, there
Right.
is a great projection, a trend towards the green energy and the renewable energy sector, right?
Okay.
So most employers are focused on that. In fact, job scale is projected to increase by almost 25-30%. So the focus in Pennsylvania, moving towards the future, is in that sector, right? But
Mhm.
there's a huge gap in terms of the skills acquisition and availability of talents needed for that.
Okay.
Again, the immigrant population in proportion to other population are active workers, right? They make
Mhm.
up most of the labor force, but they are not doing the kind of high skill, high paying jobs at the
Mhm.
moment. So they're mostly working two jobs, working enormous amount of overtime. They're the ones who on job giving out PDO. They still need to raise the money, but they're still at the lower end of the economic ladder. They are the lower end of the poverty line, the threshold. So more of the focus for us, as well as we're serving the larger community, but more of the focus is to help pipeline these immigrant young people and older youth into um, landing the first high-paying job, at least at the entry level. So the training aspect of what we do is going to develop partnership with companies in the IT industry, in the renewable energy industry, and
Mhm.
based on those partnership, we're gonna do an assessment of what the needs are, and then we try to develop a training curriculum that pipeline and train active recent high school graduates and older
Mhm.
youth into
Right.
an intensive 4 months program that land them at least an entry level of job.
Well, that
That's
that
that's the workforce development aspect that's
okay.
coinciding with the training services that we provide.
Excellent. So, from what I'm hearing from you, your predominant targeted population is the immigrant community there, and what you are basically doing is, so do you like link them with these companies in the area that are looking for people to employ, and you are providing the necessary training and directing them to the right company. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, definitely. So employers do have needs, right?
Mhm.
With the current composition of the economy, right? The post-pandemic, um, there is a there is a huge gap in terms of staffing needs
Mhm.
across different sectors, different industry, and our company is best suited and positioned to help companies on one hand, but also help folks who are looking for job and do not have the requisites here to pipeline them.
And how has it been since you started?
Well, it's been good. It's been good. We are looking. We've crossed our first quarter
Mhm,
successfully.
mhm.
We're looking to expanding, and as part of the expansion plan, we've been able to move into this fabulous office.
Okay.
Our second and third quarter of the year, we're looking towards actually establishing the training center. We're looking to having it as the digital literacy workforce training center that
Okay.
will attract at least anywhere around 100 to 120 older youth annually that we train and place in different
And how
sectors.
many persons have gotten employment since you started through you?
So yeah, I've been the last 3 months we've been able to employ anywhere 10 to 12 persons
Okay.
actively that are active.
Mhm,
With the niche recruiting aspect of the business,
mhm.
it's a kind of roller coaster, right? So you have people coming on because it's a temp to permanent
Okay.
kind of hiring.
Okay.
So with dealing with temp staff, they have different needs. So they come on, and then after a week or two, a month, they drop, but they still remain on your employment listing because they can go for a month and come back after that month and say, okay, I need cases. So we have actively 12 persons currently in our employ,
Mhm.
which is a big deal, coming from as a new company in the
New
market.
company. Mhm.
Um, there are giant players within the market that have been existing already. They already established the reputation and name that you have to compete with in terms of winning contract and all of that. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's a big deal for us at the moment. Staffing 12 person with two contracts. We're
Right.
working on a third contract and see what
And
comes of
and
that.
the 12 persons, are they all with one employer, or
No, no,
how
no,
many
no.
employers?
No, there were two employers. Okay,
Two
so
employers. Okay.
technically I have 11 person staff because I
Mhm.
just signed up one in-house staff.
Mhm.
So that made it 12 here.
And are employers aware of you? How are you getting to employers that you are a staffing agency and you want to provide meet their staffing needs? How many are they aware of you? How are you getting to employers to know that you are there to meet their needs?
So we do that through generating leads, right? So the
Okay.
process of generating leads
Mhm.
um, could be through the business development aspect,
Mhm.
where you have people who are influencer in
Mhm.
companies that you have personal professional relationship with. You reach out to them. But when we started, we utilized a company called Stimulus AI.
Mhm.
It's a platform that allows you access to a lot of information on different employers, different decision makers within different companies across different sectors. Um,
Mhm.
so you sign up with them for a year. It's pretty expensive actually, but
Mhm.
they give you data, up to date data with phone numbers and emails of active decision makers in different selected sectors that you want to target in terms of your business. So they are 98% accurate, right? So most of those names, we generated about 500 emails, um, over 1,000 contact numbers, and we use that into our own Excel database and send a chain email to those company, right? So
Mhm.
hopefully, the ones that respond, you begin to now put them in a different category, right? As
Right.
opposed to the ones that did not respond, even though you're still engaged those that didn't respond, but then you start to engage more with the ones that responded.
Okay.
Your ultimate goal when once you're generating lead is to land a business meeting, right?
Mhm.
Where you can have that opportunity to say, "Hey, we are new in the market. We're looking forward to establishing a long-lasting business relationship with you. Should in case you have staffing needs, just call on us. I know
So
you might." Yeah.
how are you getting to those seeking employment in the community in Philadelphia, across the U.S.? How are you getting to them? How do you intend to get to them to know that they can get employment through your institution?
Well, so we initially started with Indeed,
Hmm.
but
Okay.
we scaled down on that because it was a little expensive,
Okay.
as a new company.
Hmm.
But most of what we do right now in terms of attracting talents,
Hmm.
through word of mouth. With the coming on board with the administrative intern I just hired, part of the focus will be directed to outreach and recruitment and pipelining of new talent. So
Right.
um, he part of the task will be to reach out to different stakeholders, a whole list of different stakeholders that could be very useful,
Hmm.
community centers, the city government. They have different social programs that we can just take flyers and have it drop there just for the word to be out there and information purposes. But right now, yeah, we are heavily dependent on word of mouth, and it's been really working effective for us as well.
Okay. And what's about social media? Is it a tool that you're also using right now?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, in this time and age, it's obvious that you utilize social media. We have our official Facebook page. We have our Twitter page.
Hmm.
Yeah, and we've been keeping it very active. We also have a LinkedIn page that we have utilized to a larger extent. And taking you back to the stimulus AI I referred to, right? So you
Hmm.
don't do that with our LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is a very useful and resourceful platform where you meet a lot of people who are decision makers. Sometimes they follow you, and with the Stimulate AI platform that we have,
Hmm.
we profile these people on LinkedIn before even getting that information. So we already have an understanding of who we are dealing with before we even place the first call or send the first email.
How difficult or easier was it to get this company started?
Oh, I mean, once you have, I think I will put it this way, right?
Hmm.
There, and this does not only speak to me or the excellent staffing, but just generally as a life. There are three things that always serve as that key to unlock, and do right. So you have to have faith. You have to be hardworking. You have to persevere, right? So faith, hard work, and perseverance, I think, have been the source of my strength in all of this. And faith in the sense of not just trusting in God, but also believing in yourself that you can do it. So, in spite of the difficulties of going through the registration,
Hmm.
you needed to understand the market. You needed to understand your competitors, your players, and I had, you know, for most that know me, including yourself, I'm someone who doesn't shy away from seeking knowledge. So I had gone through an intensive 9 months training that I had to pay. I think they were charging 4,000. 4,000 is a lot of money to reinvest into other things, but
Hmm.
into a process that you're not even sure of, it gets scary, right?
Hmm.
So it's a question of, am I making the right decision? Can I do other things with this? But I braved the storm, took the leap of faith, and went into that. And there you meet hundreds of entrepreneurs who are into staffing. Some of them have been there for the past 4 or 5 years. They're giving a success story. You build a community right from the get go as you walk in,
Hmm.
and that community stays with you because every problem, every step of the way is a practical kind of learning thing, right? So if you land your first contract, and what's the next step after you submit that contract, right? So then you have a resource platform that you just go and just type a simple question, and then you have multiple response, right? So I just moved into that community of support relative to the industry, and specific practitioners who have been doing extremely and progressively well in a different niche market, and that was a great help to me. So yeah,
Wow.
I didn't lose on the 4,000.
So after all that effort, here you are today, uh, comfortably seated in your office. How do you feel?
Well, it feels good, man. It feels good beyond just the feeling of a person.
Hmm.
But the fact that your services are still impacting the community to a large extent. And for us, we always love to give back. We believe that our life struggle and all of what has prepared us to reach this stage
Hmm.
should motivate us every time to give back to the younger generation that's coming after us. And that's something that I've always been dedicated all my life to.
And in putting a business together, especially in the US, the reason one of the reasons many people have not ventured into that is they're looking at the money where we are get the first data to get started.
That's
Uh,
true.
do you want to share with us just an estimate, in terms of how much it had to cost you personally, or whichever way you get that money, to be operational today?
That's true. You need a great build, a huge chunk of resources.
Mhm.
There's no doubt about it. Um, the process for me, I spent anywhere around, I think, 12 to 13,000. I may not be exact
Yeah.
with the with what's on the paper.
Mhm.
But beyond your startup capital, right?
Mhm.
Especially for the industry I'm in, the market I'm in, you need a cushion capital, right? Something that's just there for eventuality in case something
Mhm.
happens.
Right.
One of the challenges we I particularly face is that there is a 1 month turnaround. Um, so when you they call it the industrial market, right? So when you send the invoice to your B2B client,
Mhm.
um, that invoice takes 1 month before they act on it.
And what is B2B client for the listening audience?
Yeah, business to business.
Okay.
Yeah. So you need 1 month um to wait for before they act on that invoice, right?
Mhm.
But that's not the point. The point is that you are you are carrying the burden of the company, the payroll burden, right?
Mhm.
That is done every week. So you realize that you pre-finance up to 3 4 weeks
Mhm.
before invoice is responded to for the first time. So
Mhm.
what do you have that kind of resources um, from to keep payroll running
Mhm.
while you await your invoice payment, right? So
Right.
you have to have that cushion. Now,
Exactly.
other people will run to line of credit, right? Business line
Mhm.
of credit. But again, we are in America, right? It's easy for a white person who's starting a staffing business or any other business to easily get a line of credit as compared to a black immigrant, right? So
Mhm.
there's so many different dynamics that play out, but yeah, you still have to keep your eyes on the ball. You have to be focused and with different strategy, and the people you talk to can help you too.
Thank you. And how many persons do you have in your employ right now? And what is your responsibilities as head of this institution? I understand your role. You are the principal for this particular staffing business. How many persons do you have in your employ? And
So
and
right now,
did you have to get like the first 6 months uh, paid for these for your staff before you could get started?
no, honestly, so right now I have 12 persons, right?
Okay.
Um, I've had 11 person assigned to two different businesses that
Hmm.
contracted us, and
Hmm.
then I just came on with an in-house volunteer.
Hmm.
So basically, his role will be to help in just handling down all of the day-to-day operation while I focus on the business development part of it.
Hmm.
So part of what he's going to be doing um, is to handle scheduling of the
Hmm.
different staff. Those that we are onboarding, that he goes through the screening process of it, because while businesses are hiring us, we have the obligation to meet the legal state regulation and requirements, right, to hire
Hmm.
anyone.
Right.
So they have to do all of the processes, including the PH criminal background check, the FBI clearance, fingerprint clearance, and all of that. So we have to also do the I now to make sure that we are verifying that it legally are eligible to work in the US. So we have to do all of the due diligence in order to place one person. So the turnaround around that takes around anywhere around 7 to 14 days, right? If the person is really eager for the job, and can work it as fast as they can. If the person is really slow, it takes up to 3 weeks, right? So just getting staff alone, and training and pipelining is a whole, work all by itself. So the administrative intern will be helping towards that, and why I now focus on the business development aspect, right? Like I said, we're looking at the second and third quarter to move and expand the business, right? We're moving into um, finding a location where we can set up the training center or have those equipment and computers. We're also looking towards getting line of credit for the business to establish its reputation with financial institutions. And we're also looking at getting some grants, right? Because we are not just a business that looking to generate profit, but we are also giving back to the community and serving the immigrant families and young people across Pennsylvania.
Well, you heard it. The name of the business he established is Excellence Staffing and Global LLC. It is a staffing agency. So if you are looking for employment, you want to load them up, and you can get an employment through them, especially when you are in the Philadelphia area. I understand from him they intend to cover the entire U.S. As the business climate will permit. Maybe when the employers start knocking on their doors, like, hey, get us 10%, get us 15%, even if that cost come from Minnesota, they can provide that employment opportunity for you. So, final words on this business. People listening to us, what message do you want them to take to individuals who might be seeking job? And also Liberians, because you are a Liberian first, you're an African first also. Because one of the things that most of us have been challenged with is starting a business and sustaining it. Tell me, how should we get involved here?
So pay attention to the market,
Mhm,
understand it by understanding your competitors.
mhm,
There's always room for growth in
mhm,
any sector you find yourself. But most importantly, it's not just about raising the capital to start. You have to believe in what you want to do. I think it is a cushion that takes you, far, far in business. It's easy to say that most businesses that get started um, trying within the 1 year period, right, where people, business expert and analysts say it's the break even period. The business has to go through all of the shocks that they are presented with within the economy. In the context of excellent staffing, we are in the post pandemic
mhm,
era. There's a lot of things happening. People are talking on Wall Street about recession, and there's not a lot of money. Even businesses that are giving us contracts they're struggling to in some ways. So you just have to have a clear business strategy, and in order to define that strategy, you have to base it off the how solid the services you're offering, and how can you wrap around multiple streams of income. Like for us, we have three different services. So if the niche recruiting and staffing is slow, um, the workforce development aspect of our business is a huge market opportunity, where even the municipality, the township we're in, give them grant money every year. Philadelphia has a host of different programs that are funding workforce development for minority groups. So we're gonna tap into those different opportunities. Now, the last thing I would like to say, right? Keep your ears on the news, right? Most business people just confine themselves. They do not go out there seeking or accessing relevant information that is useful for the growth of their business, right? So while they are in the market, but they are excluded from the very market they are participants of, and that to a larger extent is a disadvantage to them. So for me, I seek information, relevant information, as much as I can. How does it benefit my business? How does it benefit me? And even the services that we are offering to different population. So that's what I do.
All right, Mr. Nyonton, we want to say thanks so very much for establishing the business in the era of employment or staffing. We wish you well, and we hope businesses will come your way so that you can meet their employment needs. Where at the same time, when you are trying to also meet the employment needs of predominantly young people, especially in the immigrant community. Folks, we will take a short break. When we come back, our guest is also running for office in Liberia. District number 12, Monserrado County is his target. This guy, he talks business, he also talks politics. We will take a short break. When we come back, this time we'll be talking politics. Stay tuned, folks.